Hey guys, my first video on this channel, and today I want to talk about this book I read recently called Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. It's a very interesting book by a Roman emperor. He served I believe 160 AD to 180 AD, about like a 19-year reign. And basically why the book was so interesting was because it touched on a couple of topics, specifically Stoicism. Stoicism is basically a philosophy that has a lot to do with self-control, the importance of virtue, the importance of morals. And Marcus Aurelius was probably, if not the most moral and most virtuous Roman emperor that ever lived. So I wanted to kind of read this book because I kept on hearing about it and stuff. It's actually not a book that was supposed to be publicly published. It was just like his own private journal. While Marcus Aurelius was writing the book to himself, he was going through a very tough time. He wrote the book around 170 AD, and during that time, he was actually going through wars. He was going through his wife recently passing. A lot of his children also passed away as well. He also believed that power, fame, notoriety, all those things are not as important as people think they are, because at the end of the day, death is the ultimate equalizer. One thing that Marcus Aurelius believed in his point of view of Stoicism was the fact that you should basically be indifferent to tragedy. And the reason why is because tragic events are face value, are just events that happen to you. Whenever your grief or whenever you fear is basically your interpretation of those tragic events, not those events themselves. To be honest, that's probably one area where I disagree on Marcus Aurelius. There are true tragedies in life. There is evil that ends up happening in people's lives. It's not just events. It's not indifferent events. That's something I just can't believe. I want to read to you actually probably my favorite quote of the book that kind of stood out to me because I personally can relate to it. People try to get away from it all, to the country, to the beach, to the mountains. You always wish that you could too, which is idiotic. You can get away from it anytime you like by going within. Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. That kind of stuck out to me because one of my goals in life eventually is I definitely want to travel the world. I would love to go to, I know it's cliche, but specifically Japan or Korea. Just explore the culture, meet new people, maybe even live there for a little bit. Knowing that that was my dream, I realized something. I said, wait a minute, I don't want to tie too much of my happiness to that dream. At the end of the day, I can go to those countries, I can go to Korea and Japan, but if I don't have peace within me and I'm not in a good mental space, whatever feelings you feel back home, wherever you are in the world, those feelings are going to come with you. Wherever you go on your dream vacation or you finally go to a country you've always wanted to go to, that's one thing I learned is that you won't necessarily just end up being happy because you change locations, because you're still gonna have to deal with yourself. And you have to ask yourself, are you happy with who you are? I was so locked in to that dream. Sometimes I'll be like on my treadmill. I would literally watch like a walking in 4K Japan video because I would like envision it. Like my dream was so strong, my desire was so strong at that time. But then I realized like, wait a minute, all I'm doing is changing locations. What actually is going to change? Am I gonna be more extroverted? Probably not, unless I do something now about it. You just have to ask yourself, are you gonna change with your environment? If the answer is no, you might not be as happy as you think you are. You might just end up being that same lonely guy that goes to the party and still feels lonely at that party. So you just have to realize that you have to change for you, and you have to change wherever you are currently located. You gotta change there. That specific point really hit me hard because I think I could relate to it. Like I have all these goals and dreams and ambitions, and I wanna make a certain amount of money to be able to do things, help my family, travel the world. But I have to ask myself, I also have to change, and I have to have change and peace within me, because if not, nothing's gonna change, nothing's gonna be different about it. One criticism I had initially, this is a Roman emperor telling people to be indifferent to their tragedies, that whatever fate the gods bestowed upon you, whether that's being an emperor or slave, you should kind of be indifferent to it and just do your job, do your duty. And that you shouldn't really look at your faith as a tragedy, that it just is what it is. I feel like that was just a bit much, telling a slave that. It's easy for you to say. When I did more research, Marcus Aurelius also got a lot of his knowledge about Stoicism from a man called Epictetus, who was a slave. His master was very, very brutal to him, tortured him to the point where he was disabled and he had a limp in his leg. And he still practiced Stoicism. I thought that Stoicism was a belief system or a philosophy that was held by the elites. It was actually something that the Roman elites didn't like at first, at all, actually. It was actually used almost as a rebellion for the Roman slaves at the time. Their main ethos as a slave from Stoicism was, you can take my flesh, you can take my body, but you cannot and you can never take my mind. That's the one thing that I can control. That mindset was a rebellious mindset, and the Roman Empire didn't like it. So something that I thought was actually, oh yeah, I mean, well, he's an elitist. It's easy for him to say, but it's actually something that was actually used a lot by the Roman slaves. So that was something that I thought was very, very interesting. I really enjoyed this book. I'm gonna read more philosophical books. The next video, I'll see if it'll be another book, but it might be some short video about a movie that I might have watched that tied to something that I've always thought about. There was a couple of movies I've been watching recently, so I might talk about that. Appreciate you for watching. This is kind of like my personal thoughts on the book. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, peace.